Hey, all, Michael Linsford here, Citizens for New Louisiana, and we're looking at library stuff today just because these guys they just won't go away. I got this phone call the other day saying, "Did you see the No Kings protest in Lafayette?" And I'm like, "Why would I go look at that?" But they said because your buddies at the library, the vulgar book people who want these books in the children's section of the public library, were there. You're not going to believe this. Check this out. It'll blow your mind.
As you can see, over 100 people have gathered here to protest and chant against the Trump administration. They say they are calling for change and they want their voices to be heard.
I think it's not just our right, but our obligation as Americans to protest things that we see our government doing that we know are wrong.
Woke and proud! Woke and proud! Woke and proud!
Lynette Mejia with Citizens Against Censorship says she's protesting the administration's push to remove diversity from local libraries.
We fight back against attempts to ban books in our library, to remove diversity from our library, and we just want to our library board to make policies that are good for everyone in the community, not just the select few.
They want policies that are good for everyone, not just the select few. So what does that mean, though? What is she talking about? Well, just the other day, and again, all of this is pretty recent stuff. Just the other day, somebody showed up at the open mic night at the Parish Council meeting, and apparently had some kind of a Freudian slip. No one asked her a question, but she had this to say. Check it out.
My name is Margaret Oakers. This afternoon, I am here to reiterate to all the people on this board and the public that there has never, ever been any pornography in the children's section in the Lafayette Parish Public Library system. This lie has been perpetuated over and over, and I wanted to clear that up. Thanks for your ears.
So no one asked her, and yet here she is to preach to us that there is no pornography in the Lafayette Public Library system. But you see, the problem is, look, I'll just be honest with you, voters have short memories. We have a new council since a lot of this happened. I'm going to remind you of what one of the council members said from the last term, and that councilman, by the way, is now in the legislature. Check this out.
I've checked out about 5 or 6 books that have been in question at these library board of control meetings, and I took them home and I read them because I wanted to see what's in them. I don't want to listen to what Councilman Rubin said or what this reporter said. I want to know for a fact what I'm talking about so I can make the best decisions possible. And when I see a book that has a picture of a minor child performing oral sex on a man, I think that's inappropriate for our children. And I do not want that book in a section where my son can pick it up. I didn't advocate to burn that book, ban that book, have it removed from our library. All I advocated for, and all I heard our library board of control advocating for, was to move that book to the adult section so my 8-year-old son wouldn't find that book and say, "Daddy, what is this picture?"
So Josh Carlson on the Parish Council actually went to the public library, checked out 5 or 6 books just to see, oh, it can't be that bad. Guess what? He just told you how bad it was. And these are not books that are necessarily, well, they're probably moved to the adult section now, praise the Lord. But the reason they were not there back then was because we were still going through this battle. And the battle was getting these vulgar books out of the kids section. Now, right around the same time, there was a library board of control meeting. Robert Judge wrote this beautiful new policy that says if you're a child, you don't need access to erotic books. Very simple. So what happens? They show up at in the droves. They come out. And they show up at the library board of control meeting to yell, racist, bigot, Nazi, all those things. And we got all that on video. They're a Nazi. he brings this resolution, and it was like showing Dracula the cross. Well, there's no pornography in the library, but if you ban it, you're a Nazi. Look what happens when this policy came up back in 2023. Check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a free-for-all. Mr. Colvin has the floor, and he has the ability to speak. Okay, officer, if this, ma'am, if you disturb this meeting and you disrupt it, I will ask.
Take that down. You're wrong. Put the motion back up on the screen. Put the motion back up on the screen.
All right, at this very same meeting where they just get unruly and disruptive because of the policy, there's no pornography in the library, they put up the Attorney General's Protecting Innocence Project, which is highly redacted images from children's books that they found in public libraries across the state of Louisiana. He puts that up on the screen, showing Dracula the cross. Remember, there's no pornography in the library, and yet, check this out. This is Tara Fogelwoman, I call her, who wants Robert Judge arrested for showing pornography or pornographic children's books in the Library Board of Control meeting. You can't make this stuff up. Check it out.
So Mike Judge deliberately got up during public comments and posted, I could go back on, I need to get off, guys, sorry, I'll be back, sorry. He posted something right up on the wall.
Let's go this way, just
with,
to kind of keep it quiet.
2 cartoon images having oral sex.
Okay.
And
That's okay, yeah.
Okay, so this one is a little boy saying that the thoughts he's having now since he masturbated, it should have stayed in his head. Like the first one was something, they had like a poster on the wall, talk about lesbian something or other, and it was 2 cartoon figures practicing or participating in oral sex.
So, do any
Just
of
to
these,
get a rile out of people, so.
do any of these show genitalia?
No, it was blurred out.
It's all blurred out.
Yeah, but you can pretty much get the
That's what
idea.
he did.
It wasn't redacted because I wasn't like looking hard.
You know, and then the little guy, after masturbating, the thing is that he started putting things up. He was out of place whenever there's public comments. He got out of his seat, deliberately went to this laptop, looked for all of these pictures, deliberately put them up on the wall, knowing that it would cause a disturbance within everybody who was there, including the 13-year-old girl who said that she wants to be comfortable and safe in her library and not run into anything that would be considered pornographic. Okay. Now, 2 people, even if they're cartoon characters, participating in oral sex, he just contributed to the delinquency of a minor. So are you going to call him out of his meeting?
I am about to call
I appreciate
him out.
you.
Okay? Yes,
I
ma'am.
do.
All right, so they stopped the meeting. They called Robert Judge out of the meeting to say, hey, why did you show pornographic books? And he said, I showed the Attorney General at the time, Jeff Landry's Protecting Innocence Project. It's highly redacted. They confirmed everything's redacted. What's interesting, though, is if, according to the law officer that was there, if genitalia were shown in the images, they were blurred and redacted, they had black spots over all that stuff. But had that been shown, there may have been cause to arrest the library board for showing pornography in a library board control meeting. Just remember this. Remember, these are the books that were in the children's section of the public library. There's no pornography in the library until the library board shows it, and they want to call it pornography because right now, at this moment, it could benefit their cause to say, look at what the library board just showed. It's raunchy, vulgar. We shouldn't be subjected to this stuff. Well, our position has always been, well, children shouldn't be surprised by this on the children's shelves, and that's the whole point. But through all of this drama, it passed anyway. They ramrodded it through. That meeting went on till like midnight at the library. Everyone's complaining, why do these meetings start at 5 o'clock? Because, us working folks, we can't get here on time for like a 5:15 meeting. Well, it goes till midnight. You got plenty of time to get here. Just come on, right? But here's the issue. Here's what's cool about this. Robert Judge rammed this policy through. Just a little while later, guess what happens? The legislature decides to ram the same policy that Robert Judge wrote for Lafayette is now state law, thanks to Senator Heather Cloud, who carried the bill. Now, I'm not going to go into all that detail, but I want you to hear, because this bears repeating. Apparently, these nuts show up and try to trick the council into thinking there's no pornography in the library, there never has been, never will be, etc. Listen to how Heather Cloud describes her experience of just trying to get this material together. This will blow your mind. Check it out.
And I would ask you also, those that are in the room and are watching, to go to the Attorney General's Protecting Innocence report. You can Google it. Attorney General Jeff Landry's Protect Innocence report. Scroll down to page 31 and read the excerpts from the books that are in our libraries. That is the day that I decided to run this bill, was when I read the content that's in some of these books in our library systems. They're in some of my libraries in my district. All we're saying, members, all we're saying, everyone listening, is let parents decide. Earlier today, I had the books from the Protect Innocence printed in color and handed to each one of the members so that they could actually see the content that is in the books in the libraries. And Dawn Watson, who works for the Senate staff, she did the printing for me, and she was very hesitant to hand those over to me, and she wanted to do it the right way. I simply just wanted them to print the book, staple them together, and hand them to me. And because the content is so graphic, they had to make sure they had a cover on the front of the books, a cover on the back. They binded it. She put the material in a folder, sealed it, and I wanted my legislative assistant, who is probably 20 years old, she is an LSU law student, to go to Dawn Watson, pick it up, and bring it to me on the chamber floor. And Dawn Watson came to the chamber, and she asked me if I would give my permission for my assistant to carry that material, because if she would open it and read it, there would be potential for a sexual harassment lawsuit against me or the Senate staff, because the material was so graphic. And that brought so much weight and gravity. I shared that with a couple of you, to imagine that our legal staff in the Senate had to be so careful in handling this material because of its graphic content, and afraid of sexual harassment charges against us for this content that is readily available for our children in our public library systems. If that does not bring gravity to the situation, then I don't know what else could. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now, she got it to pass. It's now law. It's revised statute 25225. And it actually, just reading the statute is kind of vulgar. Because it has to be specific to say these are the things that are not allowed in the children's section. You remember Josh Carlson told you some things. I'm not going to repeat them, but I mean, unfortunately, we have to be very clear and explicit and plain about what we're finding in these libraries. Otherwise, everyone says, oh, it's not that bad. And you see the tactic. If I show it to you, it's obscenity and they're going to arrest you. But if I don't show it to you, it doesn't exist. You don't know what you're talking about. You saw the strategy. This is how they do it. So let me show you. Let me show you that this is not. They're still mad. Let's just say that. They are still spitting mad about all this. Even though it passed, even though we got it all through, even though it's now law, they're still showing up at the Library Board of Control meeting throwing a fit. Why? Oh, because they're hard left liberal nuts, right? Look at this meeting, and it'll blow your mind. They just lose it. Check it out.
Please refrain from making comments while we're speaking. We are trying to do an honest job here. We are trying to conduct a meeting.
Hold on, Ms. Ellett. Hey, ma'am, we asked you a few times. Well, a few times. Can you just keep it down just for a second so we can get through this, please?
Okay, so the board is asking for more information, and I don't think it's too much to ask that they get all the information that they need. So if y'all have any questions or any information that you need from the director, please let them know. Oh, Miss Narika. Miss Narika. Could you please refrain? You don't have to beg. We want. Okay. Oh, no. Y'all get her out of here. This is ridiculous.
The nigger.
And I'm taking this with me. Your little piece of paper. Your little piece of paper.
Can we please get an officer in here?
I'm tired of begging. I'm tired of begging.
Ma'am?
You need to.
Ma'am, you're out of order.
Oh, my God.
So I want to make the point. You saw the first video of the meeting that there's actually a police officer's body cam. Since that meeting, the hard left nuts have said, we feel intimidated by law enforcement being there. Imagine that. The same people that go to the rally, the No Kings rally, who want to defund the police, they're a little nervous that the police are there. Well, so Josh Guillory, in his infinite wisdom, decided not to allow the police to show up at the Library Board of Control meeting. So you see what happens. There's no officer to remove anybody. You see, so they get to run. They just run the show. They violate the rules. They don't care if you have them removed, which is very difficult now. The library can't remove anybody because there's no sergeant at arms. There's no police officer there to escort them out. You saw her. You saw her dare them to you do something about it. I dare you. You saw that at the end. Well, they can't because they've had police protection withdrawn. Now, how in the world can you have a meeting without police protection? Let me tell you something. When you go to city council, parish council meeting, they've got officers all around the sides, multiple. And if you give them trouble, they're going to come get you. There's a bunch. There usually are 4 at any one of those meetings. There might be more that I don't know about. They're not allowed to be at the Lafayette Public Library meetings because it's too disruptive to have a police officer there. You see the double standard? This is the kind of stuff that your library board has had to put up with very little support from anybody. And the left continues to push. What do they want? They want the vulgar books back in the kids section. Why? They call it diversity. I'm going to leave you with this. Check this out.
The contention that I see has not come from the library board. I see it coming from people in, I'm sure some here, some that have called us all and emailed us, that will feed stories to the media, the national media, and then send it over to us complaining about how we're being talked about in the media. And so any quote-unquote harm done to the library has not come from the library board nor this parish council. It's come from members trying to undermine, undermine the library board of control and this parish council, but it certainly has not come from us.